What's up, A to Z Sports Live on this Titan game day, another pregame show, and the Vikings in town for a game at Nissan Stadium versus Will Levis and the Titans. And it's a great day out there. It's like sunny, warm, does not feel like mid-November.
Gorgeous day for football.
It doesn't
Just
feel
gorgeous.
like 10 days away from Thanksgiving whatsoever. But we're going to have a good show here live on this Sunday morning. Going to have a good one here. So Easton, we're going to go ahead and have you tell the people what they have to do. All of a sudden just pops up that I have an issue streaming to Facebook, which is great to see as soon as you try to go live. So we'll try to see if we can get Facebook up and running or not. And then, but Easton, in the meantime, please tell the people what they got to do here on this Sunday morning, the pregame show here live on hopefully Facebook soon, but also live on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, hey people, what's going on? Good to see the YouTube audience with us at least. Help us out on YouTube. Help us cover for the
now we're live. Now we're live on Facebook.
Okay, hello, Facebook. Welcome in. Sorry about that. Better late than never. You haven't missed anything. Just welcoming everybody into the show here. Want to get the chat rolling here as YouTube friends have already joined us, like Ryan and Kaz, Anthony, Ray, Cody, Sean, Ryan. The number one goal for us from you guys today is hit that like button. Like the show. Help us out. We want to get as many people in here as possible before the Titans kick off here in about 30 minutes. So hit that like button for us, and we'll get rolling talking about Titans Vikings.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports Titan pregame show on Titan Game Day Live, presented by our friends all season long at X Golf Nashville and now in Murfreesboro for the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. Visit them online for your fun this fall at playxgolf.com. BetMGM, they are an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. You can use your odds boost tokens this NFL Sunday to get extra winnings on your plays at BetMGM. And T-Dot, be part of the solution to help keep Tennessee beautiful by cleaning up that litter with T-Dot and visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. Easton, it is Titans hosting the Vikings. The Titans are 2-7. The Vikings are still trying to vie for a playoff spot in a very ultra competitive NFC North where they really can't afford to lose any games because of what's going on with the Lions. Obviously, the Packers looking for a playoff spot as well. So you should expect to see the best from the Vikings today. We'll talk about our X Factors presented by our friends at X Golf here momentarily. We'll get our pregame predictions and bets from our friends at BetMGM at the end of the show right before kickoff. But Will Levis is starting his second game back from returning from the shoulder injury. And he wasn't like last week's game, I feel like versus the Chargers was very controversial as far as like, how'd you feel about it? The coaching staff said they saw progress. The results were very boring and very much the same on the field. The Titans could not get past the 17-point mark and they lose another game. Will Levis, 0 turnovers for the first time in a game this season. So there was progress there, but it was the overcorrection of playing maybe a little bit too safe and not going out there and doing the things and making a play that you have to win a game when you're an underdog by a touchdown. And you walk into Nissan Stadium, your home stadium today, and you're an underdog by 6 points to the Minnesota Vikings. So with Will Levis today, I feel like he could get a sneak peek into his future because the quarterback that he is playing against in Sam Darnold is a guy who was a much higher draft pick than Will Levis and like the top 5. I believe Sam Darnold was 3rd overall to the Jets back in 2018.
He was top 3. I don't know. He was either 2 or 3. Yeah.
And he was I think he was a 3rd pick in the 2018 draft. And to the Jets, does nothing, flames out, bounces around, goes to the Panthers, doesn't do anything there, signs a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings this past offseason. And with JJ
Panthers,
McCarthy,
Niners, Vikings. This is team number 4.
Yes. So he's bounced around a couple of times, had coffee trips all over the place, but was able to get the 1-year deal with the Vikings. JJ McCarthy has the knee injury in training camp and is out for the year. Sam Darnold is making the most of this. And Will Levis looks like, in my opinion, he is trending towards a high draft pick that has an opportunity to become a franchise quarterback that's not doing enough for that team's timeline, that might be bouncing around having cups of coffee all over the NFL and could find himself in a few years in a Sam Darnold role. But Will Levis still has a chance to avoid that that preview of the ghost of Christmas future as we enter the holiday season, Easton. How do you feel about my overall Will Levis could get a sneak peek of what his potential future could be?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the way that we treat quarterbacks now in the NFL, for right or for wrong. It's a burn and turn system. And when you get into, as a high draft pick, when you get into a system and things don't go well your first year or two, or maybe if you're lucky 3, you get tossed to the curb and you're going to bounce around like Darnold has, like Geno did, like Baker did. These guys that this year have come on and they're now the
Did Easton freeze? Easton froze. Easton freezed again. Not me. Easton did. So is he gonna come back? And Andrew, as Andrew picks up where Easton left off, is like Mariota did, like Jameis Winston did, like a lot of other quarterbacks have done, like a lot of second round, second day quarterbacks tend to do, is they flame out and go forward. So I went ahead and went through my overall thoughts on what Will Levis has the opportunity to do. So with Easton freezed, we will keep on going. And why not just ask you guys the question that I was going to dive into after Easton gave his thoughts on what was going to happen with the Titans and the Vikings today. So hopefully Easton can unfreeze and jump back in here, but I might as well ask you guys this question. And let's just go ahead and predict Will Levis's numbers against the Vikings today. So let's predict Will Levis's passing yards, his touchdowns, and his turnovers against the Vikings today. Here, as I'm solo now for the time being until Easton maybe gets a hotspot going, or maybe he gets his internet reset. I'm not sure, but I'm sure he is not exactly the happiest person right now, as he's in a full scramble mode to be able to get back here on the pregame show, as we were 6 minutes into it and he is poof gone. So let's go ahead and predict Will Levis's passing yards, his touchdowns, and his turnovers. And his touchdowns could be both rushing or passing. His turnovers can both be fumbles lost or interceptions thrown. So I'll get to y'all's comments here in a second. King VC just said, lock in, like the show, hit that like button. Please like the show if you can. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we need help with that. Maybe it's just a weird technology day because Facebook was a slow starter and now Easton froze and Easton freeze will hopefully be back soon. But oh, here he comes. Here he comes. You're back.
Have you ever seen anything like this? I don't have internet issue. I don't have internet. No, but like 6 days of the week, I don't have an internet issue ever. It's just Sundays during our game day shows. I don't understand it. I'm so sorry to the audience.
No,
there.
It's okay. We have really good.
Any of my answer?
Yeah, we heard the quarterbacks you were rolling through. I'm not sure if you were aware when you froze or when you didn't, but anyway. So I've got people already dropping their stat predictions for Will Levis in the chat. So we've got those to come back to. But sure. I wanted you to kind of continue to set the table. This is going to be a very tough test. This is an AP test for Will Levis today. So kind of take us through what you're expecting to see from the Vikings defense and how they're going to get after and make this a tough test on Will Levis.
Chat says Easton's Sunday internet is sponsored by Netflix. Absolutely.
Ooh, nice.
It's tough. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough test. And I think you're all over it about this potentially being the future for Will Levis if his next, 8 games, including 8 games, including today, don't go kind of spectacularly. I think that he's certainly a good enough quarterback. And then your draft stock, no matter how good or bad you are, it follows you, right? We know this in the NFL. If you're drafted highly, teams are going to contend. I mean, Andre Dillard, that first round pick moniker just follows him at all times, no matter how bad he is on the field. So he's going to get other chances if he doesn't end up panning out with the Titans. Today's game is one that I'm particularly fascinated about because we've talked about it all week long. In case you've been under a rock, this Vikings defense is a nightmare, and it's kind of designed specifically to kill quarterbacks like Will Levis. It's designed to crush the style of passer that Will Levis is, which essentially guys that aren't, maybe they don't see the field super clearly all the time. Maybe they're a tick late on occasion. Maybe they don't have the greatest pocket awareness, pocket management. That's what Will Levis is. And he's going to have to play his best game of the season in all of those areas for this to go well for him today. Now, the good news is Sam Darnold is on the other side of the ball, and we're going to talk a little bit about this as well. Started really hot, and you said earlier, making the most of his opportunity. Yes, until like 2 weeks ago when, his touchdown interception ratio, I believe, is 4 and 5 in his last 2 games. Mm-hmm. I think there may be a little bit of a mask off situation for the Sam Darnold experience. And sometimes when you've got a suboptimal quarterback and you're kind of making do with less, eventually the wheels fall off. Teams figure you out a little bit. I'm very curious to see how the Titans defense plays today against a team that, listen, they've got all the weapons in the world. And I think if the Vikings are smart, they will ask Sam Darnold in this game to just don't do much. Like Malik Willis game plan. Just get the ball to your guys, let them work. We're going to win the game. Don't worry. The past couple games when he's gotten in trouble is when they've been asking him to do some like 301, 401 level quarterback things. Let's throw an 18-yard out to the sideline. Oh, it gets picked off. Like, we don't have to do that against the Titans, is what I think the Vikings are going to approach this game as. But for Will Levis, if he plays well in this game, if we are sitting here in 3 hours and talking about, wow, that was another step in the right direction for Will Levis against a nasty Vikings defense. I'm not going to be all the way back in on Levis, but it's going to go a long way for me. It's going to go about as far as one game can go for me in terms of convincing me to reconsider what I think about a player. That's how drastic I think that's how terrible I think these conditions are for him. I think it's likely to be a really ugly game. And if it's not, I'm going to be really impressed.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get to some of the answers to the question, because I asked everybody, predict Will Levis's passing yards, his overall touchdowns, and overall turnovers. Ryan Fields, big-time Kentucky fan, comes in here and says 300 yards and 2 NWI touchdowns. Kick it to the King
I'd be
says,
floored.
Yeah, 1 touchdown, 2 turnovers. Titans lose 24-13. We'll get to our predictions later on. Terry says 200 yards and 2 turnovers. I'm guessing a 0 for the touchdowns there scored. Corey says 175 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 8 sacks. My gosh. Holy. If they get sacked 8 times. Because one thing we have not mentioned in the first 12 minutes of this show, because Easton froze and we got thrown off of our game a little bit. We got behind our own sticks slightly.
We did.
But hey, let's convert a 3rd and long here. NPF is back as the starting right tackle. That's a disaster situation for the Tennessee Titans.
Your favorite guy.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see how passively he allows sacks to happen this game. Actually, I heard a conversation on the Zone for their countdown to kickoff with Buck, with former Titans left tackle Brad Hopkins and former Titans safety Blaine Bishop. And they were asking, can you create a dog mentality in a guy? Or is it just you have it or you don't? And the consensus answer was no, you cannot create it. You have it or you don't. And
I concur.
NPF just flat out doesn't. Andrew says 134 passing, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 2 fumbles. Back to the 3 turnover games for Levis. Bearded Canoe says 220 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Williams says 185, no touchdowns and 5 interceptions, looking like Jared Goff on primetime. 110, 2, and 4. Gosh, some of these turnover predictions are brutal. So Easton, I'll let you go ahead and answer the question first, and then I'll get into it. I'll just keep flashing some of these answers up on the screen while we've got them.
All right, Will Levis yards.
Passing yards,
I think, is liable to be a little bit higher because I do think that they'll be forced to pass a decent amount in the second half of this game. So, I'll say 240 passing yards.
Okay.
I will say 1 passing touchdown. It's going to come early. It's going to be on a drive that looks really sexy and has us all believing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at him go. Oh, Tyler Boyd, welcome back. Something like that. What else? Interceptions.
Yeah, turnovers. Just turnovers in general.
Turnovers, period. Okay, yes. 2 turnovers. And then, is there a third one? Let me just throw sacks out there as well. Sacks.
Yeah, sure. Good.
How many they allowed? 7 last week?
7 sacks.
Yeah. The Vikings generated pressure on over 1/3 of their attempts to generate pressure this season, which is a lot. And Will Levis doesn't handle pressure well. I'll say
NPF is playing.
That's right.
Because I want to say Watson
directly into the quarterback.
I want to say Watson and John Ojukwu only gave up 1 combined of the 7.
Is that right?
According to Pro Football Focus, yes.
I need to go back and look at that now. I just kind of assumed that it was more than that. At sacks, I'll say he gets sacked 6 times, a mild improvement over last week somehow. But I do think like an 8-sack day is firmly on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the sacks are over 5, especially if you expect the Titans to have to throw the ball quite a bit in the second half of the game, more opportunities to get sacked. So your numbers.
I'll say this: if he has less than 5 sacks today, we're going to turn out at the end of the game and be like, "Oh, Will Levis led the league in time to throw, 1.93 seconds when the ball gets out of his hand." Like, they may just say we're not going to get sacked no matter what. We don't allow you to get sacked.
Right. So you say 240, 1 touchdown, and
2 turnovers.
2 turnovers.
Yep.
I don't think he cracks 200 yards. I think this is a suffocating experience. I think there's a lot of sacks that create a lot of 3rd and longs, that create a lot of surrender draws, handoffs in situations that they're just like try not to get killed, just survive and advance-ish, just survive and move forward.
It's not much advancing, actually. It's just
it's just advance in the calendar. It's
sure.
don't die. That's the whole thing, like
right.
literally. So I don't think he gets 200 yards. I think he's right around the 180 number. Vegas, I believe, has his over under at 186. I want to say he ended at 175 last week against the Chargers with a hot start. Now the Chargers game was just a bleed the clock game.
I was about to say, I think he's going to have more than 8 drives in this game. Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that part. So, but I think he's around 180 yards passing. I do think he scores 2 touchdowns overall on the day, but I think the turnovers are back to 3. I still think 3 turnovers. He's going to fumble the football. He's going to get sacked a lot. He's going to get pressured. He's going to lose the ball in the pocket. That is basically a guarantee for the day. So that's kind of overall how I feel. So not a lot of great expectations. I think what you were talking about.
I see betting opportunities. I see betting opportunities, people.
Without a doubt. Because basically what you were kind of talking about throughout the week of practice was this is going to be a tough game for Will Levis. They're going to make it look really, really bad. So let's go ahead and get to our X-Golf X Factor here on this. Easton, you and I split up Titans offense and Titans defense for X-Golf X Factor. You have the Titans offense. So I'm very fascinated to see what your X Factor is going to be for the Titans offense today to hopefully get a win over the Minnesota Vikings at 2-7. So we'll get to your X Factor, my X Factor. And if you guys have an X Factor in the chat, please drop it in the chat. What is your X Factor for the Titans to get a win today? It could be offense, defense. Hell, special teams is absolutely on the table for that because we all know how that can go. So X Factor time here on the show, presented by our friends at X Golf Nashville and in Murfreesboro. PlayXGolf.com is their website. It is that time. You might not think about it right now, but being that it's like 60-something degrees outside and full of sun, you could totally go play golf outside today. But it's not going to be like that for a long time. So you can go out and go to XGolf. PlayXGolf.com is where to go for their website to book. How can you book a bay? It's basically a golf simulator and a sports bar combined. It's one of those mashups, right? A golf simulator and a sports bar mashup. They have the best simulators on the market today at X Golf in both Nashville and Murfreesboro. The automatic tee feature is great. It's fantastic. You use your club head. You push a button. The ball, it's basically like the bowling ball returner of golf. And it just tees it right up there for you. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's magic. You don't have to bend over to tee your golf ball up. You just get to keep whacking the ball off of the tee all day long while watching whatever it is on the TV at X Golf. So playxgolf.com. Easton, what is your X Golf X Factor for the Titans offense today?
Hey, this is not revolutionary. It's what we were just talking about. It's the offensive line somehow, and the game plan. Will Levis is a big part of this as well. Somehow minimizing the pressure effect that the Vikings have. Some numbers for you that have been thrown around this week, but I think they're important. This is per Next Gen Stats. The Titans have allowed a league-high 53.6% pressure rate against the blitz. So more than half the time when they are blitzed on a passing rep, they allow at least a pressure, if not multiple pressures in a sack. The Vikings, I don't know if people have paid attention, Brian Flores, kind of the blitz guy. They've blitzed on 40.2% of their defensive snaps, which is second in the NFL. That's a crazy high clip. They've generated an unblocked pressure on those blitz attempts. So a guy just running free at the quarterback on 8.2% of their dropback. So one in 10, which is fourth in the NFL. So roughly 1 in 12 attempts to blitz, they get an unblocked rusher. These are against much better offensive lines than the Titans likely have. And the Titans are allowing these pressures at more than half the time. So if you do the math on all this, Paul Karski and I sat down and kind of like worked it out. This is rough and incomplete, but what we came up with is like the Titans probably going to allow a pressure 1 out of every 5 or 6 attempts today, which is no bueno. So you got to minimize that. If you can find a way to minimize pressures and sacks, I do think that the Titans offense is capable of dinking and dunking its way to scores against this against this Vikings defense. They aren't probably going to be looking to pass downfield because the Vikings have eaten teams up when they've tried to air the ball out. They lead the league in interceptions. They lead the league in overall turnovers. I do think that the game plan is going to be conservative and patient in that way. Very similar to what they did against the Chargers last week. They just have to execute better, and Will Levis has to speed up his internal clock, get that ball out a little bit faster. Offensive line going to have to mitigate whatever you can there on the right side and hope and pray, I suppose. But that's my X factor is generate some kind of a clean pocket against a team designed to muddy your pocket.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Let's see. X factors. Eric just says Tony Ballard, of course. I mean, that's definitely a good one. On the key says Jeffrey Simmons returns from mediocrity. X factor. I mean, Jeff has been playing good,
couple pretty good games
like
here,
really good football as of recent. Roberto says to limit TJ Hawkinson, who he is back, right? Is that correct? TJ Hawkinson back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how healthy he is, but he's back.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Get right game against the Titans.
Yes, that you stole the words right out of my mouth. Robert, not Roberto, but Robert says special teams. Kyle says get a lead, make the Vikings play from behind. Ashley says the secondary. Steve says Tony Pollard 89 yards and Wiley gets in the end zone today. Craig says the X factor is the D line. In the Fed, Chicago says X factor is Spears needs a good showing today. And Steve comes back and says the tight ends. So I'm going to flip it over to the Titans defense. And for me,
by the way, just real quick, Austin, over under longest return on kick or punt allowed by the Titans today. I'll put it at 28.5, taking the over.
Over.
A 30+ yard return today?
Easily.
Okay.
I mean, all it takes is like the Titans to not do a touchback once.
Just put the ball in play one time and you could hit.
That's what happened last week.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm not like making stuff up to be funny.
No, and I mean, this is seriously taking me over. Got it.
Yeah, over 20.5. I was actually thinking like the over needs to be like 34.5.
You was about to say, what's the number you take the under? If I said 39.5, are you still going over?
I feel like they give up 40 yards returns, like falling out of the bed in the morning. So I kind of see like 38.5 is that number where I would really, really have to think the under.
Okay.
For the longest return allowed. So my X factor actually goes along with what Dwayne says. Sack Sam Darnold. I think the Tennessee Titans have to get pressure on Sam Darnold and then do something when you get there. Right. Like you cannot allow him to Justin Herbert yourself, just like you did last week with you get some pressure, you make a move, and all of a sudden he jukes Kenneth Murray in the middle of the open field, and there's a first down. For the Chargers offense. Do not let Sam Darnold do that. He can do that. He's fully capable of doing that. He makes turnovers when he is under pressure and is thrown off. So I think the Tennessee Titans have to get pressure on Sam Darnold and then do something when you're there. Like, don't just be surprised that you got to him. Finish it off. Like, finish a sack and not let him scramble, because there's one thing else I know about this Titans team other than giving up big returns. It's that their linebackers cannot tackle in the open field. Like, if they are squared up, I'm not talking about like receiver on the swing pass is bringing in the ball and Jack Gibbons drills him in the ribs. I'm talking about like break down the old Mike Vrabel training camp drill, break down the open field, and you got a left or a right. Titans linebackers are toast because Justin Herbert is on a joystick, and Justin Herbert made Kenneth Murray and so many other players look silly last week. So my X factor is get to Sam Darnold and then finish it when you get there. And finish it doesn't mean a sack. It's hit him, affect the throw, bat the ball down, do something.
Impact the play.
Impact the throw. Yeah. Or don't let him throw. So that is my X factor overall. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're all over it. Luckily, this Titans team known for their ability to generate pass rush, so don't you worry about that. I do think that the most gettable area for them in the pass rush game is up the middle. I think that it could be a big Sweat and Simmons game. I was looking at some of these numbers with my buddy JT this morning. They have an opportunity to win a healthy number of reps against this interior of the Vikings offensive line, who is just okay. So look to see if they can blow up a pocket from the inside.
Yep, absolutely. All right, A to Z Sports here live, our Titan Game Day Live pregame show presented by our friends at X Golf, Murfreesboro, and Nashville. PlayXGolf.com. It's now time to predict it. Let's predict the game, predict your score, and we've got our bets here presented by our friends at BetMGM. Pregame predictions right here. If you have not signed up with BetMGM yet, what are you doing? Do it. I had an interesting college football weekend. I think I came out basically flat even.
Okay.
I think I came out flat even. Lost
no
some,
money
won
lost,
some,
just emotional
won some,
damage.
lost some. Yeah. Basically, like I won money, then I used that money, then I lost it, and then I won some money back, and then I lost it again. So that's how it goes. But we'll see how the NFL goes today. But with BetMGM, if you haven't signed up yet, do it with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. You go big with your first bet because you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Predictions in the chat. Bring them on. What's the score today? Titans versus Vikings. Easton, I have a feeling you and I have the same bets ready to go in our bet slip. I'm just going to predict because you told me on Saturday morning, Sam Darnold interception, Will Levis interception, parlay that thing together for plus 200 odds.
That's right.
Plus
210.
I got plus 250 this morning, by the way.
Oh, look at you. Wow.
So I did that. I also took both quarterbacks individually to hit their over on rushing yards. I'm guessing you did both of those.
Of course. I actually have a Levis escalator. I have the Levis over and then a little bit sprinkled on Levis 25 plus, a little bit sprinkled on Levis 35 plus, a little sprinkled on Levis 50 plus. Because Titans keep talking about we're going to run this guy. Let's see if they're not full of it here.
It's 16.5 is the number for Levis. I went over that. And 11.5 is the number for Sam Darnold, who averages over 16 yards rushing per game on the season and has done that, as you texted me, 6 out of 9 times. So I am on those. Do you have any others? Titans, Vikings related.
Do not. I was actually, well, first of all, always, you got to sprinkle a little bit on the NWI anytime touchdown. Always. Just a little something on that.
It's never a bad idea.
And then, no, nothing else besides that. Was looking at the model, putting together one of those parlays again. Didn't love it this week, the options that it liked, just because frankly, I think I understand what this game's going to look like more than the model does based on what it was asking me to do. So I was I didn't feel good about it. And when you're better, never force things. So
yes,
sticking with the rushing prop, sticking with the parlayed interceptions, sticking with the NWI anytime touchdown, and let's roll.
All right, there we go. Let's get to some predictions here on the game final in the chat. Man, I'm seeing a lot of people that are learning, like Corey, like Guy. 17 points for the Titans. Orlando's not. 20-14 Titans.
Orlando, they're clearly scoring another field goal in your scenario.
24-10 Vikings win. Roberto, there's another 7. I just love the fact.
What's the total in this game?
This is a
39.5. Okay.
I see 40 right now at BetMGM.
Okay.
So that's a good underplay if Easton's seeing 39.5. 31-10 Vikings, 31-21 Vikings, 30-10 Vikings. Dwayne, 23-20 Titans get the win. 28-17 Vikings, 38-0, 34-17, 28-17. So Easton, your prediction is we're about a minute away.
2017 Vikings win.
20-17.
Yep. I think it's going to be an ugly day of offense. I think the Titan 17 is probably it's probably not that close in the majority of the game. 20-10 with 2 minutes left on the clock. Titans get a garbage time touchdown kind of deal. And we're like, oh, they hit 17 again. Woohoo, kind of deal. But
I think the Vikings -6 is a really tough number. I think 24-17 is the final. 24-17, which means the Vikings would cover, but I could see a 23-17 type thing. So
sure.
I think it's really tight, but I'm going to go Vikings win by a touchdown. Easton has Vikings by a field goal. We'll be right here at halftime and also at the post-game show. So make sure you don't go anywhere. If you do go anywhere, you come right back here. Shout out to X Golf Nashville and in Murfreesboro, playxgolf.com. BetMGM, log in today to get that Pro Football Boost Pack to acquire tokens for more winnings and T-Dot. Be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. We'll see you guys at halftime. Enjoy the first half. Thanks.